Hello, I'm Cliff Ely. I'm an attorney in Colorado who's been representing injured workers for over 25 years. Today I want to talk about getting terminated after you've been injured on the job. This is a common occurrence. It's a terrible thing to have happen to you because you're already injured and now you've been fired. What if you have restrictions and you can't go to work anywhere else because of those restrictions and you're still recovering from your injury? The Colorado Workers' Compensation Act states that if you're fired for cause, which means if you're at fault for your termination, the insurance carrier doesn't have to pay temporary total disability benefits or what you might call wage loss benefits. This happens all the time, and much of the time the firing is a setup to get rid of an injured worker without having to pay him for his lost wages. Sometimes the termination might be for something that happened long before the injury took place. Say you made a mistake 3 months ago and then you get hurt, and at the time the mistake was overlooked, but after you're injured they decide they have to fire you for that mistake that happened so long ago. The insurance company will probably deny benefits because you were terminated, and you'll have to go to a hearing to prove that you were really fired for getting injured. And that's an important distinction. If you get fired for having an accident, you're still entitled to lost wage benefits or temporary total disability benefits. There was a case where a trucker had an accident and was fired for the accident, and the insurance company refused to pay wage loss benefits because the injured worker was fired. The Court of Appeals ruled that the carrier still had to pay the benefits, and by not doing so, you're really firing him for the accident and making it a fault system, and workers' compensation is a no-fault system. Sometimes employers will look for a reason to fire you after the accident so they don't have to pay wage loss benefits. When this happens, you can go to a hearing and they have to explain the reason you were fired, and if the judge decides it was just an excuse, you'll still get workers' compensation benefits. Some evidence that points to the firing being retaliatory or just to get rid of you is if you were fired for something that happened a long time ago, something that was never written up, or if it's something that everybody else does and no one's ever disciplined for it, but then you do it and you're terminated for it. Sometimes an employee is taken back to work on light duty where they accommodate the restrictions. I always advise my clients in this situation to be the employee of the month, because the employer might be looking for them to make a mistake that gives the employer an excuse to terminate the injured worker. If you go back to work on light duty, make sure you're on time and that you follow all the rules every day. Something that might be overlooked for another employee might get you fired as a way of getting you out the door with having to pay for your lost wages. The employer or your fellow employees might make fun of you for your injuries or your restrictions, or you might be put into an unpleasant job assignment in hopes that you'll quit. If you quit your job, that is considered at-fault termination, and you usually aren't eligible for lost wages for workers' compensation. If you quit your job, that is considered termination for cause and usually will not be entitled to lost wages from the workers' compensation carrier. The one exception to this rule is if you get quit or fired and then you have surgery that prevents you from working anyway. You wouldn't be able to work even if you hadn't quit or been fired, so from that point you would be entitled to lost wage benefits. As you can see, you can be treated very unfairly after you're injured on the job. You have enough problems having been injured without being wrongfully terminated from your job. So if this happens to you, or if you have any other questions regarding workers' compensation, call me at 303-785-2828. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have and to provide a free consultation.